Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Committee Reads. I am your host, KWCEs, and with me today I have Fat Baking Unicorn, GVR, and Nagoda. And today we will be looking over the first match of Shin Timber, the first KWCE event in its entire history. Destoroyah versus Shin, Godzilla Shin, by Godzilla vs. Rayquaza. Gunshots and agonized screams fill the Tokyo hotel next to the bay, occasionally being interrupted by the nightmarish shrieks of something unnatural. A horde of juvenile destroyers had attacked the hotel, killing all the guests and staff. The JSDF had been sent to deal with the situation, but so far they were failing to handle it. A solitary soldier found himself separated from the rest of his squad. He quietly moved through the hallways, his gun held closely. Far off, horrid sounds assaulted his ears, the sounds of his comrades dying to the abomination the platoon found themselves trapped with. The soldier just wanted to run away. Dishonorable discharge be damned. But he was stuck on the 5th floor. Any elevators he could have used were mangled and useless. The stairs seemed like the death sentence to traverse. Another cry of agony, one just a few stories below him, tore at his sanity. He was a soldier, trained to fight and keep his cool even in the deadliest situations. But Destoroyah just seemed to have a way of terrifying even the bravest. The soldier crept through the hallways, his heart feeling like it would burst from his chest at any moment. A noise from the floor above almost killed him with fright alone. The tapping sound of the juvenile Destroyer's footsteps. The soldier stopped moving, all of his willpower dedicated to silence, when suddenly the footsteps halted. The constant thump of heartbeats sounded like a great rapid drum beats to its owner, inaudible prayers leaving his lips. The spawn of micro-oxygen prepared to tear through the floor and slaughter anyone below, when a booming shriek caught everyone in the hotel's attention. Any soldiers or Precambrian terrors near windows or holes in the walls stared at the bay as a massive yellow tail rose from it. The mysterious creature moved close to the shore before revealing itself. Large eyes bulged out of its reptilian skull, disgusting red gills hung off its neck, and dragged itself across with just its 2 legs. The strange creature lumbered forward, a flow of what seemed like blood pouring out of its gills, and it began making its way to the hotel. All the soldiers in the hotel began scrambling for any exit, but the micro-oxygen spawns refused to let them flee. The isolated soldier began running, but the Destroyer above him crashed through the ceiling, a blue beam of micro-oxygen leaving its jaws and tearing through his chest. The mutated reptile marched forward, its strange gills swinging with each step. It reached the hotel before rearing upright. It fell onto the hotel, shaking the building's foundations and creating massive cracks in the walls. Screeches left the mutant's mouth as the building broke further, before giving way entirely under its weight. Dust and debris filled the air, obscuring the hotel's remains as well as the mutant. The deformed reptile's head soon left the cloud, following closely by the rest of its sickly body, all except for its tail. The dust settled, revealing a gargantuan pile of rubble. After a few moments of silence, the rubble exploded outward, a shriek of malice escaping from behind the dust. The mutated reptile turned to face the dust, and a purple ray of energy shot out of the cloud, striking the ground before it. The deformed creature backpedaled when another shriek sounded. Stepping away from the hotel's remains, the aggregate Destroyer's inner jaw shot out as a show of intimidation. A purple glow filled its inner jaws before another oxygen destroyer ray fired, lancing into the reptile's back. Some of the fins lacing its back were blown off, pouring blood from the wounds. The deformed creature turned away from the crustacean, fleeing from its attacker into the city. Destroyer ran after its victim, quickly catching up to the scared creature. Using one of the appendages jutting from its back, Destroyer slapped the reptile's tail, tearing flesh. A yelp of pain left the deformed creature's mouth. quickly turning into a cry of agony as another oxygen destroyer ray tore into its back. The reptile's tail slammed into the crustacean's legs, knocking the micro-oxygen spawn to its side. The deformed creature continued running as fast as its legs could carry it, which unfortunately wasn't faster than Destoroyah. Pass.
The aggregate's claws closed around the end of the reptile's tail, halting its retreat.
Bacon? Bacon.
Cut off, man.
You there?
Bacon.
I see
bacon.
green.
I see green too. I think he's glitching out.
Damn.
Bacon.
We sure he's not dead?
He might be.
Finally.
Guess that means he can't interrupt anymore, huh?
I guess not. I told Alex not to do it. I told him he was my son and I would beat him. But Alex was insistent. He was like, no, let me give him the drugs. It'll put him out of his misery. Bacon, where'd you go, man? What dimension are you on? What place in reality are you at right now, dude? I'm sorry. You're just not here with us right now. And he's just not here. He literally just read the aggregate's claws closed around the end of the reptile's tail, halting its retreat.
The first line.
He just disappeared. The very first line of the sentence he was supposed to read. And then he just disappeared. Disappeared right on us. This is a national tragedy, ladies and gentlemen.
Destoroyah must have dropped him.
Yeah. Bacon, if you can hear us, I love you, son. I wish Alex didn't do it, but I wish Bacon was back.
Okay, did y'all not hear me?
No.
Okay, what the fuck? I was reading that entire time.
Nope, we could not hear you. Your icon was stuck on green the entire time.
Yeah.
That is so cringe. I have to read all that again.
Yup.
Yeah, you're gonna have to read it.
It's gonna be great for behind the scenes.
End me. Okay, I legit got to the third paragraph.
Could you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I couldn't before, and apparently you couldn't hear me.
Yep. I was giving a big old emotional speech there.
Okay. Yeah, that's me right now.
Yep, pretty much. Alright, Bacon, just start from the top.
Okay. The aggregate's claws closed around the end of the reptile's tail, halting its retreat. The deformed creature turned around, facing its attacker. The reptile charged forward, its tail being freed from the aggregate's grasp before lashing out and biting the crustacean. Jaws closed around Destoroyah's left claw, cracking the armor and drawing strands of yellow blood. Destoroyah's left claw struck the side of the creature's face, forcing it to relinquish its grip and drawing crimson ichor from its cheek. The micro-oxygen spawn slammed its pincers on top of the reptile's head, dazing it before firing a micro-oxygen destroyer beam. The destructive beam tore into the creature's spine again, cries of anguish leaving its maw. The mutant spew its tail around, crashing it down upon the left appendage upon the crustacean's back, cracking it open and spilling yellow gore. The Destroyer's inner jaw shot out. The Precambrian horror swung its head back, bows to tear into its foe's brain, but the deformity narrowly moved its head out of the way. The reptile lashed out, biting down on the extended inner jaws, ignoring the vast taste filling its mouth. The creature began thrashing its head back and forth, trying to tear it off, shrieking in panic. Destoroyah swung its left claw into the mutant's eye, punching through the soft organ. The reptile cried out in agony as the micro-oxygen spawn ripped its eye out of its socket, the sock connecting the eye to the brain snapping, causing rivers of ichor to gush from the wound. Suddenly, the deformed reptile reared up, a tortured shriek sounding out. Its skin and muscle began stretching. The bug scales become charred red, crimson muscle being exposed. Oh, Jesus. Beneath its body and tail grew, the disgusting sounds of its metamorphosis all too audible to the citizens watching. The stumps behind its head grew into short arms. The flesh between its dorsal fins began glowing bright red. The abomination bellowed its rage towards its assailant. What were once streets became deep, booming roars. The blood that gushed from where its eye once was began to boil and steam. The two titans stood almost eye to eye. The dinosaur lashed out, its eyes clamping shut around one of the tendrils of the Destroyer's back. Destroyer screeched.
Wait.
Jaws, not eyes.
Its eyes clamping shut? What?
Oh, I did misread. What the fuck? Well, you heard it here. Eyes eat.
You also used vast instead of vile a bit ago. I just didn't point it out.
What? Shut up. I have no defense. Oh, God. Okay. I need to get this checked out. Destroyer screeched in pain as steam poured from where his opponent's maw touched. The abomination was born from radiation. Its body was fueled by radiation, and now its transformation taxed its natural heat vents to their breaking point. The crustacean fired another oxygen destroyer ray, but despite tearing a hole into the deformity's flesh, it didn't seem to stop it. The behemoth slammed its bulk into Destoroyah, more steam rising for the aggregate's body. The sound of Destroyer's armor boiling was drawn out by the agonized cries of both colossi. The micro-oxygen spawn clamped its claws around heaps of the nuclear giant's flesh, but the blood that leaked from where they struck out burned worse. Destroyer quickly backpedaled, while the dinosaur began fleeing towards the belly. Brilliant light surrounded the aggregate, signaling the charge into its final form. Before it could get very far, the deformed saurian's colossal tail swam to the micro-oxygen spawn's sides, steam rising from the soaring crustacean, and crashed into a nearby building, bathing the structure in fire. The radioactive dinosaur disappeared into the waters of the bay, steam rising as it entered. The citizens of Tokyo breathed a sigh of relief, believing both kaiju to no longer be threats. They couldn't have been more wrong. Pass.
Soon after the two kaiju suddenly disappeared, a portion of the water of Tokyo Bay began bubbling. A charcoal-black reptilian head soon rose from the waters, its eyes healed and shrunken. It was followed by a scarred mountain of flesh. Massive red marks covered the abomination's flesh, resembling keloid scars. Its body was pear-shaped, hulking legs supported its frame, and minuscule arms dangled from its shoulders. Finally, an absolutely gargantuan tail flailed through the air behind it, its tip resembling a scarred face. As Godzilla reached land, violet energy began crackling above the flaming building Destoroyah had been thrown into. Suddenly, as if manifesting from nowhere, Destoroyah's final form emerged. Releasing a hellish shriek, the spawn of the oxygen destroyer took off into the air. The micro-oxygen demon landed before its foe, meeting the saurian eye to eye. Godzilla's tail swung forward, bashing into Destoroyah's side. Destoroyah dug its claws into Godzilla's chest, strands of crimson ichor flowing from the wounds. The irradiated lifeform lashed out with its own claws, throwing out sparks as they raked across the demon's armor. Godzilla wrapped its tail around Destoroyah's neck, pulling the demon close. The atomic leviathan dug its claws into the demon's armor, clamped its jaws onto part of the crest that adorned its foe's head. Destoroyah struggled in its opponent's grip, yellow blood pouring from where Godzilla's teeth and claws pierced. The half of the demonic crest began to fall away, and the nuclear behemoth was tearing away chunks of armor. The floral pattern of bone on the demon's chest opened, and an invisible blast from concussive force throwing Godzilla to the ground. Because this was back when we were stupid.
Yes.
And didn't just go, okay, you can have Destroy use the stomach beam.
No, it has to be like used in the unused footage, says Greyshot. Which my only logical conclusion to that was, oh, a concussive blast, okay.
Godzilla got to its feet when suddenly Destroyer was on the Saurian. Ribbons of flesh were torn away, along with strands of ichor being drawn, as the micro-oxygen spawn tore at its opponent with its claws. The micro-oxygen spawn lifted its clawed tail before throwing it forward and clamping it around the Saurian's neck. Godzilla roared in pain as his neck was shocked by Destroyer's attack before the Saurian was thrown to the ground. Destroyer began flying low to the ground, tearing a trench through the ground with Godzilla's body, still shocking the mutant. As concrete was sent flying through the air, the mutant thrashed in its foe's grip, but its shriveled arms prevented it from grabbing the demon's tail and wrenching it loose. Godzilla opened its mouth before a colossal pillar of smog began spewing from its maw. Destroyer ignored the smoke, a shriek of sadistic joy leaving its jaws. The shriek of joy soon changed to one of agony, as the smoke was soon overtaken by a humongous column of radioactive fire. The heat scorching its back, Destroyer released its grip and began flying higher into the air. Godzilla quickly climbed to its feet before turning its head upwards and aiming the inferno at its torturer. Micro-oxygen spawn was submerged in flames, the roar of the assault drowning out the cries of suffering. Violet energies began gathering in Destroyer's mouth, signaling the Oxygen Destroyer ray. The demon fired the beam downwards, the purple spear cutting a path through the inferno. Godzilla felt the top of its back be torn into, spines being blasted away in indescribable pain, racking the wound. The stream of flames ended, Godzilla shrieking in anguish as it fell on its side. The wound in its back felt like it was being slowly eaten away at, flesh melting even with the ray's assault ended. Destroyer hovered in the air above its foe, horrific burns scarring his body and patches of its armor melted. The micro-oxygen spawn dropped feet first towards the Saurian. Destroyer's mass slammed into Godzilla's side, a sickening crack filling the air. The fins atop the irradiated creature's back began to glow a dark purple, prompting Destroyer to stomp Godzilla's face, pinning it to the ground. The Saurian raised its tail before pointing the tip at the demon's back. A thin violet ray shot out of the tail's mouth, spearing into the micro-oxygen spawn's back, burning away a portion of armor and flesh. The demon shrieked in anguish before flying off its foe. Godzilla quickly climbed to its feet before opening its jaws once more. The radioactive Leviathan's bottom jaw split in half, a piercing violet glow building in its throat, when suddenly thick membranes closed over its eyes. Destroyer turned to face its foe, having no time to react before a purple ray of pure atomic energy tore into its stomach, soon continuing out of the demon's back. Godzilla threw its head to the right, causing the ultra-atomic ray to carve a horrific gash and destroy his body. No blood leaked from the wounds caused by the attack, but rivers of blood gushed from the micro-oxygen spawn's mouth. The nuclear god threw its head to the left, the violet laser almost carving it the micro-oxygen spawn in half. Good job, me. Godzilla shot off another, weaker purple ray that tore into what was left of Destoroyah. Destroyer's torso fell to the ground, any cries of agony coming out as wet gurgles. White mist began covering Destroyer's two halves, breaking them down to the microscopic crustaceans that formed the demon. Pass.
Godzilla roared in triumph, then began walking. The ground around the radioactive Leviathan burst open, 6 aggregates bursting from underneath the concrete. They leapt at the atomic Saurian, latching onto it and draining its energy with the micro-oxygen. Godzilla flailed and thrashed, trying to shake off the Precambrian horrors. One of the crustaceans fired a ray into the heat vents on the behemoth's back, eliciting a shriek of pain. A cascade of beams erupted from its spines, tearing apart 2 aggregates on its back. Godzilla aimed his tail at another aggregate, the atomic ray punching a hole clean through the creature. The remaining aggregates leapt away, disappearing into mist. Godzilla opened its maw again, before unleashing another atomic ray onto the streets. The nuclear Leviathan melted the roads into slag, then swept its beam in half-circle, tearing apart countless buildings and melting them. The atomic behemoth continued to obliterate everything in sight. The once bustling city turned into a molten and flaming ruin. A violet ray soon began turning a bright red, before slowly fading. Godzilla's movement began slowing, before ceasing altogether. It looked as if the nuclear behemoth had turned to stone, but in reality it had simply run dry of energy. The ground before the statue burst open, revealing Destoroyah in its final form. The Precambrian demon slowly stepped towards the petrified Saurian, malice building in its heart. A crimson saber formed from the horn atop Destoroyah's head, The spawn of the oxygen destroyer swung its head diagonally downward, carving the nuclear leviathan in half. Destroyer clamped its claws around the Godzilla's neck before tossing the torso away. Destroyer looked around at the flaming ruin that was once Tokyo, upset at the devastation it couldn't cause. The Precambrian horde took off into the air, wanting to find another city to raze to the ground. Destroyer disappeared into the smoke of the city. Godzilla's remains were still, but this wasn't the end. Already, its regeneration had begun working on both halves of its body. Winner, Destroyer.
Alright, so
So, quite a shame, GVR, that this didn't come out like a year or two later.
Yeah.
well, with the restrictions imposed, it probably wouldn't have worked out as originally intended. So, because I don't think it's like your strongest work, GVR, but I do think it's still decent. I think it still has its strong qualities. I did like the first half, where it's like Shin's second form fighting, the lesser forms in general, and then it's evolving to the third form, and even if ever so briefly fighting the aggregate destroyer, which was neat. Then both of them coming into their final forms. It's it's decent stuff. I think there's better from you, but at the same time, I don't think this one's bad. So I think it's good stuff. Nice to see Destoroyah and Godzilla evolve coinciding with each other. That was cool. So nothing too crazy, but still a decent, solid KWCE.
Yeah.
So where's that sequel?
Well, I did actually it never went beyond just thinking of it, but I did consider having a sequel with Hedorah and Shinomura involved. Because I wrote this match. The main reason I wrote this match was because I think this was still when we thought Shin was a bunch of microbes.
Yeah, I figured that was the sort of I guess theming to the pair up, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, now we know he isn't, but...
So now the theme is just purple.
Yes, today's theme is purple. Yeah, that was always the intention to this theme. It was purple.
The man behind the slaughter.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have a banner to use this one for, that's right, because it was used as the placeholder for the KWCC, so I didn't have to make any more of those crappy card banners for the videos. That's right.
Yeah, good job by Nagoda on that one.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did that.
Can't wait to use it again.
Looking at it now, it really, Shin Godzilla really sticks out in that picture.
Yeah, I could have used more blending. It's a good pose. It
I think
could have
this
used
one
more
was
blending options.
I did it part way into the KWCC as well, so.
Okay. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Destroyer looks really good though.
Yeah, the Destroyer looks amazing. Shin Godzilla Lover is out of place.
Right. That just needs some touch up.
Yeah.
That's all. But yeah, anyway, match itself, I think it's decent. Nice little premise. It's nothing too it's nothing too crazy, but it is what it is. And it's okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, Bacon, what'd you think of it?
I really liked that they evolved throughout the fight. Starts out with the first form, and the second form, and final form. The fight itself is alright. I wish that the fight between the two final forms went on a little longer. The intro is pretty good. It's not your strongest work, but it's still entertaining. Overall, an alright match.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys. It's fine. It's an okay little thing. I have considered writing Destroyer vs. Shin Godzilla for the actual KWC and making it a much more in-depth thing. Just because I feel like a fight between these two should be more than just this little brief scuffle.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see.
We could just slap Nagoda's KWCE banner into the KWC version.
Yeah, no, this I don't hate this one. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, one of my older things. I guess it's in the category of my older stuff where it's like I don't particularly love it, but I don't like dread its existence.
Yeah. So we've gone from, if I understand correctly, a KWCE that you like to a KWCE that you feel indifferent to, and then eventually a KWCE you're dreading.
Yes.
A natural story arc.
Well, yeah, more accurately, one I enjoyed, one I co-wrote that I don't quite feel this strongly about, one I'm indifferent to, and one I'm dreading. But we'll get to that one.
So, later.
Yeah.
Alright. And, Nagoda, what'd you think of it?
It was nice. A lot of good fire. Good, like, good fight. Plus, there's the whole cutting him in half thing.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
When two creatures can get cut in half and live, Nagoda's always about that gore fest.
So am I.
Fair enough. And with that said, this has been KWCE number 24, and we'll see you guys next time for the next entry in Shin Timber. And with that said, see you guys next time for KWCE number 25.